Hi everyone, so this is a video I've wanted to share with you for ages because it is so close to my heart. When I've been going through the pictures and videos to put into this video, I actually was laughing out loud and I was crying just because the experience was the most magical experience ever. So I'll give you a bit of background into how I ended up going there. So I was travelling around the world, as you guys know, and on part of the world trip, at the end of this, I was going to Kenya. Basically, it's a volunteer programme and it's run through a company called Original Volunteers, so I'll link those below. It's really, really cheap, so you just pay for your accommodation and your food. It's not one of those volunteer programmes where you pay thousands to be there. You just pay for your accommodation and food, and then once you get there, if you've raised some money, you put that towards the volunteer programme, whatever's going on when you get there. I was there for 3 weeks and I was living with a local Maasai family, and it's basically it's like in this village which is called Elasity. So when I got there, I didn't know who I was staying with, I didn't know what other volunteers would be there. I was just taken straight to my family home where I was going to be, and I was introduced to the father, whose name was Moses, and then he took me and showed me all his children. So the 3 children that lived in my home, there was Yantai, the oldest in the house, she was 7, there was Ibrahim, who was 5, and there was Sintoya, who was 2. And as soon as I arrived, this is what I was greeted by. So as you can imagine, it was a great warm welcome, and then I was showed around the house. So the houses that they live in, traditionally the Maasai live in like mud huts, which I was shown to, but the ones that the volunteers stay with, they live in more of like a metal shed. So on the left there is the house, and on the right is the kitchen. That is the living room, and this is my bedroom. So there is no floor, it's just the dirt floor and 2 beds. And this is the kitchen where they used to live before I actually got there. They were all living in that kitchen together. So this is a picture of my beautiful family. So the Maasai Tribe, like most Africans, absolutely love dancing and love singing, and most nights this is what I was entertained with. So the main project that was happening when I was there was building an orphanage. The actual building had already been built, so we were just doing like the interiors, painting it, putting the beds in, putting the desks in. The orphanage was called Nasarian Children's Home, and when you're there you're given a Maasai name, and my Maasai name was actually Nasarian, which I was told means peaceful and happy. This is the orphanage we're working on. Say hi, Sarah. Hi. Hi, Mary. Hi, Dan. Hi. Say hi to the camera. Hi. This is the door Sarah's been working on. Hi, Dan. This is the room that other volunteers did before we got here. This is my masterpiece.
Welcome to my map. Just make it a fairy.
And then this is the room that the other volunteers did. But Vince has put an iguana, a penguin, which looks like a rabbit, and a llama. Why is that, Vince?
Because it's the song from The Lion King.
Which goes...
If you want a penguin and a llama, if you want a penguin and a llama.
Ah, wee! which was done way before I got here. And this is Isai's very manly office, painted pink. So that's the orphanage. So another thing that we did when we were there was help out in the schools. We went into the schools and either helped cook or, for example, one of the volunteers who was with us, Vince, who was very, very generous, brought over a massive suitcase of clothes and he donated them to the school. And some people donated books and pens and we took them across to one of the schools. So this is the inside of one of the schools, and as you can see they really don't have much, but they're still really, really happy. So just outside of the village there were some giraffes that lived there and it was really cool. We got to go down and see them. You could actually see them from our house and from the school. So we visited the traditional mud huts that the Maasai live in, and it's not like a tourist place where loads of tourists go, because this is literally deep inside the village where only the volunteers go, so they're so welcoming. And it's crazy how they live, really. They live in, the mud huts are absolutely pitch black when you go inside, and there's probably about 10 kids and a mother and a father that live in there, and they're tiny. So one thing that we got to see when I was there, which was really cool, was a dowry ceremony. And if you don't know, that is when two people are getting married and the groom's family have to give the bride's family something in return for the brides. So one of the volunteers was staying with one of the families in the village, and her father was called Paul, and it was Paul's sister who was getting married. So we had the big dowry ceremony at Paul's house, and all of the bride's family came and they brought gifts. So they brought goats and they actually brought Coca-Cola and 7-Up, which is a bit weird, but they brought gifts and things to offer the bride's family. So it's just a big party where everybody gathers together, all of the families, and this is them bringing the Coca-Cola, and that was me collecting some wood for the fire. So whilst I was out, I also went on safari, because obviously you can't go somewhere like that and not go on safari. So I went to the Maasai Mara and it was absolutely amazing. You just drive onto the Maasai Mara and I went in the wildebeest season, so there was just hundreds and hundreds of animals as far as you could see, and it was absolutely incredible. So when you leave, you get given a leaving ceremony, and this is what was making me laugh and making me cry when I was watching the videos, because they're just so heartfelt. The families will come, the family who you stayed with will come and do a speech about you, and then you do a speech about being there, and then all the volunteer hosts, they all do speeches, and we all dance and sing, and it's just so amazing to just experience it, and it's so real and it comes from the bottom of all of their hearts. They really are so grateful for you being there, and I was so grateful for the opportunity of being there. Be made of stone if you didn't cry if you were there at the time. So yeah, I'll insert some clips of my leaving ceremony.
Yolo janga yana yere sere mamusa tajuma dolunyu janga ya yolo janga yere sere mamusa tajuma dolunyu.
Megan, thank you a lot. Since that you are left to Audacity, you have done a lot. For all that you have made and do for us, we are happy about. She's feeling sad and feeling because of very heavy heart. that you can drop some tears, but men are very hard to cry. But today is the time that it had that is about to cry. Thank you for all that you have done to the family. Because the time that he lost the phone, you are sleeping, you alone, and it now is yours. And if the room can talk, when he go back, he can ask Moses, why is Nasirian today to the room? So remember, your room is still there for you. And you are very open, very free, and just come anywhere, anytime that you like to come, because that is your home. Yeah.
You are not ready to go home.
Yeah.
You will miss us very much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ashe Ole.
So that was my experience of living with the Maasai in Kenya, and it was, like I said, probably the whole way through, it was absolutely amazing, like the most incredible experience I've ever had. It really touched my heart and kind of changed the way I am as a person, which sounds so cheesy and so cliche, but it did. Like, it was like no other experience. I got so close to the family that I lived with. The 2-year-old actually started calling me mama, which literally tears my heart apart every single time I think about it, because it's so sad. And Moses, the father, he asked if I could take her home with me, because even though he loved them to pieces, he thought I could give her a better life back in England. But obviously I couldn't adopt her because it's not that easy. I probably would have done if I could have just taken her home in my suitcase. I would have just taken her home. And everybody was crying. She was crying at the leaving ceremony, and Moses cried, and I cried, and it was just very sad, but really happy at the same time, because it was just an amazing experience. So I really hope you enjoyed watching it and sharing these moments with me. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!